Kevin, welcome to Detroit.
Thank you.
How did you hear about the trade news initially, and what was your immediate reaction when you found out you would be a Detroit Piston?
Yeah, I mean, first reaction, I was excited. Got a call from Billy Donovan, the coach. I was about to take my pregame nap. We'd shoot around, go back to the hotel. My agent hadn't heard anything leading up to that day, so I wasn't exactly expecting that in that moment. And thought coach was calling me to see if I was playing that night because I hadn't played the game before and let me know that I'd been traded.
There's a 2015 tweet circulating, I believe, that you did enjoy former Pistons teams. Can you tell us about what you liked about this franchise and what you watched?
Yeah, I mean, back when you're growing up as a kid, whatever team, is on TV, those are kind of the ones you gravitate towards. So one of my little takes basketball hoop playroom, like one of the first basketballs I had was a Detroit Pistons basketball. And Chauncey Billups, Richard Hamilton, Taurean Prince, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, like that whole team was one of my favorite teams, along with the Miami Heat. And people know the D Wade story, so I always liked the Pistons. Always had their basketball, even when I was young.
What's just your initial thoughts on how you fit with this group, and have you had talks with JB and Trajan just about what they want to see from you and how you can fit this group as well?
Yeah, I think it'll just take time. I gotta find my way. This team is obviously have a lot of different things go right for them this year, and I told JB just let me find the way that I can fit in, and the team can't do anything differently. The identity is their identity, and it's up to me to fit into that.
What do you believe just initially that you can bring to this group?
Obviously shot making, outside shooting. This team is not fun to play against. I remember playing against them in Chicago earlier this year, and really physical games. Obviously a lot of defenders in this room, and their identity is be in your face and physicality on defense. And I think I got to do all that and more. And obviously in the offensive end, find my shots.
Had you interacted with JB before you got traded here?
Really not at all, to be honest. So first conversation was on the phone.
What are kind of your impressions on what his teams are about, just from what you've been able to watch, what you've been able to gather just in the short time?
Like I said, just from playing against them earlier this year, it was one of the more physical games we had all year. Number one in the East for a reason. They really played the defensive side of the ball, and that was, like I said, it wasn't a joy to play against them. And I remember that carrying into this. I told him, you don't got to pump me up. We're playing against this team. I know what it's about, and like I said, it's my job to fit into that.
What about a welcome from your new teammates? Who were some of the first teammates to reach out to you, and how did they do that?
Yeah, they. I was here the day of the trade, so I drove from Milwaukee back to Chicago and flew here, and I was here when they finished their game. So it was super quick. Obviously saw the team when they were coming off the court against Denver, and a couple City Rock guys in the locker room. Sorry, a U team back in New York, Isaiah Stewart, Tobias Harris, playing against Duncan and Karras a little bit in college. Everyone else watching from afar, obviously, but no one I played with in this locker room, but it seems like a really, really close group.
When it comes to
it seemed like some of your best years came when you played alongside another that we played with you, like Trey Young, Aaron Fox over in Sacramento. So I excited when you played alongside Kevin.
Yeah, super excited. Those guys get a lot of attention for all the right reasons, and just finding your spots to play around them. A lot of ways, try to make their life easier as best you can. Make shots when it comes to, get out of their way in a lot of different ways. But for me to try to figure out where he likes to operate, how I can supplement him is something I think I built that chemistry with Trey in a couple of years, and Fox in Sacramento, and Del Sacramento a little bit. So again, it'll just take some time.
You were right by the bucket when there was just a classic Cade to JD dunk. Just seeing that, being under that, and seeing how this group moves well, what do you take away from that?
They're together. They're very together. I think the spirit of this group was something that was very noticeable, really the second I walked in. So, like I said, just happy to be a part of that, and obviously pitch in where I can.
We talked a lot about the three-point shooting, but JB kind of just alluded to how you're a complete player overall, effective in pick-and-roll situations. What does it mean to kind of have a coach who acknowledges that you are more than just a three-point shooter coming in?
Yeah, it's big. I've always looked at myself as a basketball player, not as just doing one thing. Hold myself to a high standard. Show the makes and misses. It's not something you try to worry about too much. It comes with the game, but glad he acknowledges that. Obviously, I view myself in the same way, and hopefully continue to do that here.